My name is Michael and I sell 3D prints online, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I made my first profitable 3D print from my tiny bedroom. So basically I created and sold my first 3D printed product on Amazon, and I made over $3,300 from my tiny bedroom. And basically I'm going to walk you through how I did that, right? So the key thing is you don't necessarily need a niche, but it does make it easier. So the problems that I faced is basically I had my 3D printer sitting there, but I had no idea what I should actually sell. And I didn't have a niche or any obvious product ideas, which most people are kind of in that similar boat. And I didn't really want to guess and waste time printing things that nobody wanted, because you want to just keep stock of random things that don't sell, right? And basically, if you do want a copy of this Google Doc and to learn more about making 3D print sales, I'm sharing it for free in my free community, and link is in the description. So the steps that I actually took is basically I researched what was already selling on Amazon and Etsy using sales data. Now, when I say sales data, I'm basically looking at reviews. Number of reviews is going to basically determine whether the product is actually making sales, and that's what you really need. You don't need like specific numbers of sales or anything like that. Second, I look for products with demand but low competition. Now, low competition can mean a few things, but basically you don't want listings that have too many kind of like different listings that fulfill the search term. So let's say you had I don't know, a lion phone holder, right? Some kind of like lion shape that is a phone holder. If you see, you know, 20, 50 different like variations of the same object, then that's going to be high competition. But if you go to Amazon and Etsy, you search up that key term and you only see 3 examples, then there's not as much competition. So pretty much the number of competitors for this specific search term. And this is how I found my piano phone holder concept and designed my own version. I saw an existing listing of a piano phone holder. So let me go to Amazon and type in piano phone holder. And this is the one that I found, right? Just through searching. And pretty much you see that. And the key thing is this is quite a basic version. It's quite simple. Let me just move that here. So you can see this is quite a simple version. And what I did is I took the same term and pretty much made my own version. And you see my version right here. You can see this is a lot more kind of professional. It's more done up. And yeah, it's like another version that people would actually want. But in terms of competition, if you look at the shapes of a piano and something that holds an actual phone, there's not actually many competitors. Literally nothing. It's only that first listing, so mine is the second listing. But that's kind of the key thing. You want to find things with low competition. And pretty much after that, step 4 is I listed it on Amazon. Obviously, yeah, designed my own version, listed it on Amazon and started getting sales. And I did run pretty much ads to that, and I did some kind of different marketing things like Facebook. You know, you can start to share in groups. You have to do it tactically though, because if you share things in Facebook groups in the wrong way, you're going to get quickly banned. So the outcome here is I sold 100 plus units at $26 each, and I generated $3,307 plus in revenue from this one product. And this is all from my bedroom with an affordable 3D printer, which is the A1 or Bambu Lab A1 with the AMS light, so I can do multicolor. So pretty much let me just go through a couple of things. So this is the screenshot of the sales. So this is in pounds. You convert that to dollars and it's about $3,000. I'm selling this for about $26 each. And yeah, let's go back here. So I'm selling it for $26 each. I took the pictures, made a listing and all of that. And the interesting thing is I also tried to sell it on Etsy, but Etsy didn't really take off in terms of sales. So Amazon was what brought more sales. And what I did is I ran ads. I did an automatic campaign through Amazon itself. And that basically ranks you for specific keywords that Amazon thinks that you can get sales in. And pretty much once you do start to get some sales, then you can take those specific keywords and move it into a separate campaign, so you can have more kind of control over which keywords you're using, how much you're bidding for the keywords and whatnot, and try to get like a positive return on investment. And you know, I went through the whole process of taking pictures, creating the listing, creating the bullet points and all that stuff. Got my reviews, did this A+ content on Amazon. It's a bit of marketing material just to make things, you know, look a bit more kind of appealing and whatnot. Yeah, that's kind of the process that I went through. So the key thing really is, first, you know, you kind of want to find products that do have a demand, and you can use different keyword tools. I use Keyword Keg, which is pretty much this tool that you can type in keywords and find the search volume. So I did like piano phone holder, one term. I did like a piano gift. I did I think music gift as well, and can quickly search that. And what this does is it gets actual search volume, like monthly search volume from Amazon for specific keywords. And it's also another thing where it actually looks for keywords based on what you type in. So it's going to look for more terms and pretty much give you more ideas on what kind of things that people are searching for, right? So I do highly recommend using the keyword tool to look at demand. So as you can see here, you got music gift card. We can ignore these things. Music gift, that's quite a broad keyword in terms of our product. We just want to use that as a potential. So you got gift for piano players, which is a lot more specific. You can ignore this. Music gift cards, not relevant. Best gifts for music lovers, that could be relevant. Music gifts for men, could be. Piano gifts is a lot better, a lot more relevant. Gifts for people who like music, it's quite general. And what you can do is pretty much just go through here and we can type these terms into Amazon. Now, piano recital gifts is not specific enough for a product, but it is something that people would search for to find your product. So if you did have ads turned on for this result, it would show up somewhere and give people the potential to see and buy your product if it's relevant enough, right? But you just want to kind of continue through and look at the search volumes. Even if this volume is quite low, it's still something that's useful because this is per month and it could be more than kind of what it shows. This is like fairly general, but it's fairly accurate as well. So piano phone holder has 20 searches, something like that. You might see and think, okay, that's too low. But what you want to do is pretty much stack up specific keywords that people would use to find your item. And you know, piano gifts for men, piano gifts for women. This is one of the best keywords that I had for this particular product. So you definitely don't want to ignore these lower keywords. This is where a lot of the kind of money is made in the background, right? So what I would recommend is for you to look into different products, look at different niches. Pianos, I basically play the keyboard, so that's something I'm interested in. So I looked kind of deeper into pianos. I know people always have phone holders, so I was like, piano phone holder kind of makes sense. I looked into it, and you know, lo and behold, found there wasn't much competition. There was already a version that was selling that had reviews, but not many competitors. So that was definitely an opening. And the key thing is you want to differentiate. You want to have a unique angle, a unique selling proposition. So he had the basic version, and I made something that looked a bit more kind of professional, a little bit more mature, I guess. And that was the angle that I used in particular with this product. And the key thing is, you know, validation. You don't necessarily need a niche, but you want to validate the products. So after I did design this product, you know, it took me a couple of hours to design it. I took it through to Facebook, and I pretty much took pictures of the completed 3D print and asked people for their opinions about the product that I made. And from there, people did enjoy the product. They even gave me suggestions on how to make it better. So that is basically a validation process to show that people do actually like the item itself. So make sure to validate your products, you know, and Facebook is a good method. So one product validated in a niche beats 10 random product ideas. You don't just want to like throw random ideas without validating them first. You don't know how much search volume it has. These things are very important. And the fact that I made this all for my bedroom is not a limitation, but it's part of the challenge. You know, business is not easy. You just kind of have to figure out what resources you have and try to use it as efficiently as you can. So that's kind of, you know, how I found my first profitable 3D print from my tiny bedroom, and it made over $3,000 in sales. So yeah, if you found that helpful, definitely comment below, like the video and all that good stuff, and you know, join my free community. So I'll quickly just show you what it looks like on the back end. Hit this. So yeah, these are just posts. You know, I have 259 members. people's posts. You know, you see me in there. You can ask me questions as well with direct message. But yeah, we just kind of gather around and kind of share what we go through. So I'm working on making this more active, but it's gone pretty good so far. So yeah, man, feel free to join the community, and I'll see you in there.